Welcome back, everyone, to this episode of Dale's Rails. And I had some unexpected events come up this past week and was preoccupied with those things, which prevented me from getting my video out this past weekend. So I did take the time to videotape a little bit and to share with you guys what I've been working on. And I thought I'd share with you guys how I install my track to get, very good run characteristics. So stay tuned. Hopefully you'll find it useful. Well, this is the culprit responsible for blowing my train budget for the rest of the year, which is really unfortunate because our annual train show comes up next weekend, and I've really been looking forward to that. But that remains to be seen because it's hard to believe that I won't come away from there with something. Well, I hope this isn't too noisy, but I thought I'd do a little demonstration here of the run characteristics that's achievable. And the Santa Fe Trainmaster over there, that is a MPC era dual pole motor engine. It's pulling some rather heavy, actually pretty heavy cars. The Milwaukee Road Trainmaster, that is a Williams dual can motored engine. And down here, our Santa Fe F units, they're really from the modern era. These are a dual pole motored engine. And you can see you can get these to run very slow, uniform, consistent speeds. And I will be showing you how I think I have achieved this. It's nothing that I really realized it was going to be capable. It's just something I think that happened as a result of how I installed my track. Probably even get this to go a little slower here. Well, I think you guys get the idea. I don't want to put you to sleep, and I apologize if the engine was a little bit loud, but I just wanted to demonstrate to you how this is achievable. So this is the area that I'm going to be starting with first. I've got plans here, do a mixture of scenic elements. I want to do some static grass, soil and gravel drives and that type thing in here. So I want kind of a mixture going on in here. This section here is, I want to redo all that with static grass over there. I had this old piece of the old indoor, I guess it's indoor-outdoor carpet you buy at your big box stores where I got that. That is something that, I tried in there. I did put ground foam on it, change it up a little bit. It did help it out, but, I did want that to look a little bit more like a grass area rather than, wild overgrowth or something like that. So there's certain areas here in the inner city that I'm doing. I want to have more of a, finished grass type lawn area rather than, old growth look. And to do that, I always start with my track first. So this section of track I had never completed. It's just been in there. And, I kind of recommend that, when you're putting your track plan down, you probably want to put your track plan down first. If you're going to do road bed, of course, you want to lay that first. But, the track to me is the first thing you want to get down. Run your engines quite a while. I mean, I started this layout 5 years ago. I should have been done with it by now. I kind of been dragging my feet, honestly, with, acquiring new items for the collection and running those and shooting videos. And I just decided it's time for me to get back in here and getting the layout done now. One of the holdups here was for this town scene was to actually acquire some of the structures to give you a better idea where things are going to lay out. And you can see what I did here before I took this building out. I did draw this out. I'm going to have these structures in place to do the scenery elements up close to the building. This will be coming out as well. But I want to remove all this in this area. It's going to make it easier to do the ballasting, painting, and it's almost a necessity to use a static grass applicator. You've seen how big the basket was on that. So I'm going to have to pull these structures out. They were never really permanently in place. This was all kind of temporary set in there. And, this is going to kind of start with the track. The way I'm going to work on this, I can do like a section at a time. That kind of seems to be the way to do it. And just keep the flow going. I'm just going to be going from here and around. You can see I don't have a whole lot probably to do in this area here until I get on around over to this section. And then I'll be doing something similar over here that I'm getting ready to start here. This over here is probably going to get even more finished scenery in it as far as your turf. So what I would recommend starting, or what I did, and I this was nothing that I knew about. It just seems to have worked for this, I've noticed. And in other words, I just kind of stumbled onto this. So the things that I did on my layout to get that good, consistent, slow running for conventional style running, to me, I think the key is to start with new track. And I use the tubular track from Menards for several reasons. It was something I already had a lot of from my original layout, which was over in the bar area. And it was a smaller layout, but I had a good sizable portion of track already. I had 5 loops over there. So I already had quite a bit of track left over from that. And it just seemed to be one of those things that, kind of just a natural way for me to go, just because I already had some of it. Plus, it's very inexpensive to buy. There is a lot of good selection above and beyond probably the Lionel tubular, and the fact that I can buy 10 and 30-inch straights. Plus, there's several different curve sizes. I believe it's 031, 036, 042, 054, 075, and 096. And with any of those radiuses, you can custom cut them. That's the other thing about the tubular track. To me, it was really easy for me to cut this with a 4-inch grinder with a metal cutoff wheel. So it's very easy to cut and customize. You don't really have to get the track to fit with the limitations of the lengths and the curve they come in, because you can actually cut them to fit the space exactly, precisely. So that was the other bonus to it. The other thing is it's compatible with post-war magnet traction. So for me, that was key, since I run a lot of post-war, and I have some newer locomotives that are not post-war that, oddly enough, have magnet traction and traction tires, I found out. And it's structurally strong. You can see it's really designed to make quite a few lengths of span here. I mean, you can get away with spanning at a pretty far distance without any additional support. So that was a bonus for me. And it can be soldered. Since I'm doing a permanent layout in my other room over there, I did use lock-ons and that type of thing, and I didn't have the track screwed down. So this track is being installed permanently. So I do solder my power feeds to the track, and then I also solder the joints. That's another key element, I think, that produces good run characteristics. One of the things I noticed about the Menards track when I had it in the other room, when it wasn't installed permanently, these joints in here where your pins are, I've noticed can get a black residue in there over time, and then it makes a poor connection. And so it's something I had to pull the sections apart from time to time and clean that off. So that was not good. I don't know if that's just arcing or somehow the oil or something that gets off the engines down there onto the track. I did have an issue with cleaning the track a lot over there. I was doing a lot more heavier collecting of older post-war engines that needed to be restored, and that kind of probably played in it. Plus, smoke fluid seems to leak out onto the track that you're not aware of. And then the other thing that I do, that seems to be a very controversial issue. I did not do this where it was in the other room, but when I decided to do a permanent layout here and do the tunnels, one of the things I had concern of is getting in there and cleaning my track. So I'm going to let you guys know right now that I started this over 5 years ago, and I have not cleaned this track once since I moved into this room. The other room, I was doing it at least every 30 days. The track would just get so bad that it had to be cleaned. It just, it was just a necessity. But since I put this track in here, I have not cleaned it. And the controversial thing that a lot of people are probably going to say, well, that's not possible. But maybe it's the fact that the track I'm using, it works for this. So I use this product here called No Ox ID A Special. And this is kind of two different things that helps with this. As his name suggests, it's no ox, so it's an antioxide inhibitor. But it's also an electrically conductive grease. It's not something you want to use on your gears, but I do use this even on my fingers on my E-units and that type of thing. I put just a small coating. Now what I do, I solder my joints first, get that all done. I clean the track really good, and I do use mineral spirits. To me, mineral spirits is a way to go for me, just because it's a non-polar cleaner, meaning it's petroleum based, has no water in it. So there's nothing better for cleaning a petroleum based grease and oil than a petroleum cleaner. To me, the alcohol, you could use that too, but for me, I prefer the mineral spirits, because the mineral spirits just kind of like it's really just probably as effective as WD-40 in the fact that it's a rust inhibitor. So it prevents rusting. So if you do the alcohol, it doesn't have that effect. It's a polar base cleaner that you're using there, and it has water in it, and so you're exposing that once you clean that off to potential for rusting, the way I see it. And that's just me personally. It's just the way I see it. And so when I apply this no oxide D, to me, the thing that's crucial on this, a lot of people I think don't understand, is that I will push a little bit of this just to the surface, and I just touch it with my finger like that. So you might see just a little bit of sheen on there. There's not a big glob. And then I just rub it in. And then what you want to do is take a section of track here and just rub this in with your finger. And if you don't want to use your bare fingers, if you got, I've always been able to do stuff without being allergic to things. It's probably a good thing since my profession was what it was. And I don't have any adverse effects to doing it. So if you are sensitive, stuff like this, you might want to use some type of a glove or a rag. But I just keep working this in. You can actually kind of feel it going on, and then you'll kind of know because it starts getting dry. You're not going to see any of it on there. So what you want on here is a micro coating. This track is porous enough that this grease will incorporate into the metal. So that's all you're trying to do. You're just trying to put down basically a barrier of protection here and enhancing the electrical conductivity. You'll want to clean your wheels on all your engines and rolling stock. I can tell you right now, I've been running this over my finger over it. Yeah, there is some black on it, but I assure you that's only after 5 years. If this would have been not treated, it would never have been this clean even after 30 days before this track was treated. Now, the argument I hear is, well, it still gets dirty. But you know what? Yeah, I'm getting some blackness off of there. I don't bother cleaning that off. It actually, I think, improves traction. So that's the other concerns, like, well, you're putting a grease on here. Aren't you going to get wheel slippage? I don't have that problem. And I think the longer this sits, the better it improves, is what's been my experience. I have not, and this is the God's honest truth, not cleaned this track in over 5 years. Where it was in the other room before this track was treated with no ox, I was cleaning this every 30 days. It was almost necessary because the engine just would not run right. Plus, I would have this buildup on the wheels. And I had some engines or some rolling stock that had so much buildup on the wheels. It's mainly stuff that I bought that way in that condition, that there's so much buildup on the wheels, it almost looks like a traction tire. And so when I get new rolling stock in, or, when I say new, all my stuff is used. When I get new used items in and bring into the layout, it doesn't matter what it is. I always service it, whether it's an engine or rolling stock. I'll clean that off immediately. And I wish you could come down here and check my collection out. You could check all the wheels on all my rolling stock and engine. There is no buildup on any of the wheels. The wheels are going to look as clean as these. So you can see I don't have any buildup that occurs on my wheels. Now, if I rub my finger on it, you'd probably get some blackness off of there. But it doesn't affect my engines at all. So I thought I'd share this with you guys. I'm not saying you're going to have the same results. Maybe it has to do with the type of track I'm doing that I'm able to do this. And I'm not sure if this is going to stay like this forever. At some point in time, I may not have to clean this. But this is a big advantage for me where I don't have to be cleaning inside. I don't have to clean the track at all, much less inside the tunnels. And when you're working this in to the track, you know, you just need a fine microfilm coating. It's basically just a film you can't even see you're putting on the track. And just keep working it in. And you really don't even have to do the entire track. Just if you know, it's good enough if you can get, say, half of the track or what you can reach. Like I didn't apply this in the tunnel, and it's because the wheels over time will spread this around. It'll migrate. So it's not something you really have to be too concerned about trying to apply this in your tunnels. It's just going to eventually carry it around and lay it down on the track. And I find that doing those steps is probably the reason why I can get such good running characteristics and an even voltage across my track. I mean, the other thing too that I failed to mention, you want to make sure you have more drops. I have a bus wire that runs down the center of all my tables. All my tracks will have a tap within 6 feet from the track, and so I only have like a 2-foot section of wire that comes in here, connects to the main bus wire. So all that is helps to improve good running and good voltage to your track. The rule of thumb on that's kind of every 6 feet you want to probably put a power tap. I do not have that on this intercity loop. In fact, all I have on the intercity loop is a tap over here and a tap over here. They're paralleled in, and I'll probably be adding more taps in here as I go. I'm probably going to do a separate tap on the yard here, or this individual siding, probably that back tap, that back trap there. I'm going to probably add another tap just to give you better running. And the fact that there's so many turnouts in here, it's kind of a good idea if you got turnouts to really, you know, provide as much power sources as you can around your turnouts there to improve, you know, that power supply on each side of your track switches. Well, that's all I have for this week. I hope this is something you guys can take and use to help you. And until next time, you're watching Dale's Rails. Thanks for watching.